Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 95 of the Home Games Podcast. I'm Yazeed, and this is Joseph.
Hello, I'm Joseph, and today is Monday, November 22nd, 2021. Today we're talking about whatever Yazeed wants to talk about because I didn't do a damn thing for home games this past couple weeks. I
Yeah.
for those who, well, the fans following along at home, I was sick last episode. Turns out that was some of that COVID-19 you've been hearing about, apparently. So I was kind of knocked out a little bit. Played a bunch of Fallout New Vegas and didn't do anything else. So Yazeed, what's up?
Well, a couple of things. Basically, I was going to ask if it's okay if we do like a more chill episode, like less hardcore about home games and more like we're going to cap it at an hour and we're just going to talk for that hour.
Unacceptable when you have at least 50% JavaScript talk. We're contractually obligated to talk about boring shit for most of the time. No, yeah, it's fine. We can do whatever.
Um, did Fallout come out with it? Did they like do an anniversary patch for Fallout? Is that why you were playing it, or?
No, not to my knowledge. For whatever reason, there's been like a resurgence, it seems, in kind of like discussion or popularity because Tynan, I think, was playing New Vegas over the past, maybe the past month. And then I started playing it when I was sick just because, for a lot of reasons, but basically I started playing it. Then JC started playing it again. And I've been seeing quite a few YouTube videos kind of reflecting on it because it has been like, 11 years or something. Um, but no, it kind of just seems like one of those games that just will last forever because it's just so good. At least that's why I wanted to play it. I kind of wanted to revisit it because I had finished it, the main story, when I was like, maybe 19, and I didn't give it the kind of love and attention it needed. So going back kind of as an adult and realizing like how political and like cool that game is and it like really makes you think and it's so engaging and it's like holy shit, this is one of the best games I've ever played. And what the just like constantly being amazed at how fucking good it is.
Yeah. I'm asking because I did play that game because JC told me I had to play it. So I played it, and I actually didn't like it. Like, I didn't understand what the hype was for. And I still don't really understand what the hype is for.
Yeah, okay. So like when I originally played it, I was playing it with the intention of finishing it. Like I wasn't playing it to explore or kind of be curious. I wasn't giving it the time that I needed, and it's kind of been a problem just kind of in general for me being able to or feeling like I can give time to video games. I feel like I should be doing other things because I'm an adult and I need to do certain whatever, and I kind of get guilt or feel guilt for putting 12 hours or 15 hours into a game. Uh, so I think you have to kind of you cannot go into that game with that intention. You have to just play it to explore and to meet characters and to see what's going on and to kind of make choices and see how that stuff affects things. Like the gameplay itself is not super great. It's just like I can kill everybody. You could at any point in the game. It's like how impressive is it that they made a cohesive story up to this point? I can go and kill every main leader of every faction, and I can fucking assassinate the president and whoever, and I can still finish the story and get a story that makes sense after everything I did before. It's like, how do you make that? It's so crazy. How do you make anyway?
Yeah, yeah.
What was the thing that when you played it, you didn't really like? What was the worst part of the game to you?
I think it's because of what you said. I was just playing it to beat it.
Hmm.
Like, I basically made a character who could only melee attack, or yeah, basically like hard specialization in melee. And I looked up what the strongest melee weapon was and where to find it,
Hmm.
and it was this dude from Caesar's Legion who had like a chainsaw thingy. I just
Hmm.
went, I saved, I fought him until I killed him. Then I had the strongest melee weapon in the game, and I
Yeah.
basically could one shot everybody. And so I just went through the story almost completely one-shotting anybody I came across.
Hmm.
They're like, oh, this thing is really tough and really dangerous. And I was like, he's dead. And this thing, also dead. And this thing, also dead. It's like,
Yeah.
I was like, this game is not a game, honestly. Like, at this point, it's just a point and click and walk places simulator.
It's
But
kind of
I
like
also
a
was just playing it to beat it.
yeah.
Because, I don't know. The other thing, too, is like, I like RPGs, but I don't like RPGs with guns. I don't know why. But then I played Cyberpunk and I was like, maybe guns are okay. So maybe I should go back and try Fallout again.
Yeah. I've been meaning to go back to Cyberpunk, because I think it's like mostly fixed on PC at this point. I don't really know.
No, it's not apparently. Don't.
I thought it was still kind of ass, but not big. Or anyway, whatever. Maybe in a year or so I'll play it. Uh, but yeah, for Fallout, it's kind of like you could do that. You can get the thing that will one shot everybody and just kind of blast through everything, and that definitely can be fun. But I think it's like not if you you don't need to quite role play like and really fully believe you are that character. But I was so like engaged in the game, I started having dreams kind of from the perspective of like if like my dreams felt like a Fallout game, if that makes any sense. Like the choices I was making in it just like was so in my brain. Maybe that was part of the fever and that kind of stuff. But it's just so okay. If you believe in like a certain worldview or a political view, or say that the world really ended with nuclear war or whatever, and kind of what do you think is the ideal solution in the end of that, and like how should the world be run? And you meet Caesar's legion and they like crucify what they like people that they consider degenerates, and it's like, well, I see your point, but it's a little much, and maybe I don't believe in a fascist dictatorship, maybe something more. And it's like you can do the NCR, which is basically America Part Two, and that's what I ended up doing in my thing. But you could also just be like a burnout degenerate fuck, and like whatever you can do whatever you want, and if you commit to that thing, you can get like a super rewarding experience out of the game. And I just think I've never played anything like that, and I've played 3 New Vegas and 4. And it's just the reward for like giving yourself to that game is just so high. It's crazy.
Yeah, I guess maybe I should try again. The reason I was asking originally about whether they had just come out with like an anniversary thing is because Skyrim came out with an anniversary edition. So I've been playing Skyrim again for the first time in like 8 years or whatever since that game came out, or 10 years, I guess.
Yeah, dude, they added fishing. They added like one thing with the anniversary edition, right?
They added a couple of things. I didn't buy the anniversary edition. I'm using the like what they upgraded in the special edition or whatever, which is what I had.
Okay.
They added fishing, which is garbage. I don't have a reason to fish. It's literally faster for you to jump into the water, swim after the fish, and pick them up out of the water. Like a true savage, exactly how you used to fish in Skyrim. But what they did add too is survival mode, which I guess has been a mod for a long time. But like your character gets cold, and so like being cold affects how much health you have. And you need to eat because when you get hungry, it affects how much stamina you have, and you have to sleep because if you get tired, it affects how much magic you have. So it's like you have to like maintain it like a regular person. And also, I didn't know this about Skyrim, but there's actually a difficulty setting, and I've been playing on the lowest setting since I started playing. So I upped the difficulty, and now everything is so difficult that it's like I tried to fight the first dragon, and I died like 8 times. When I played it originally, I breezed through the first dragon, and I was like, so easy. Anybody should be able to do this. Now I'm like, oh, this is an entirely different game. Or I'm worse at playing video games. Honestly, it's probably a mix of the two.
It's probably both. I was going to ask, how does the leveling in that game work? I haven't played it forever, but does playing it on harder difficulty like give you more XP for killing stuff?
Nope, not that I know of.
Nice. So you're just doing it just for the pain?
Yeah, basically.
Nice.
But also it's been fun because like prior to this, I'd basically only been playing Planet Zoo and Rainbow Six Siege. So Planet Zoo is like complete like chill out. Like I'm just gonna make a zoo. I'm not even worried about money or anything like that. Like I played in like the sandbox where there's like no concern about money or anything. I was just building exhibits to build exhibits for fun basically. And now there's like Skyrim where it's like difficult, and then there's Siege which is like competitive difficulty with JC and my brother. So.
Oh shit! Have you played Halo? I forgot to ask.
No, I downloaded it, but I've not played it yet.
Okay, you should play. You should play Halo. It's very good.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, but if you want like another competitive thing to add to Siege, you should play Halo.
I just want to play a game with friends.
Yeah. See, I don't.
It's like if you're like, oh, we're gonna play Halo after this, I'll be like, all right, not after this because I have to eat, but like after like tomorrow or something, I'll be like, I'm down.
Yeah, we should play it at some point. I only played it for like 30 minutes, and I think it has that problem that free to play games have. Free to play games have where, well, specifically with this one because it has like an objective mixed with Slayer type playlist, so you can't just pick Slayer or whatever. So people who have never played Halo and don't read menus or maybe can't read menus from the way that they play don't play the objective at all. So you're playing oddball or whatever, and people are just running around on the other side of the map, not doing anything to help the team. So that stuff is frustrating. So it would probably be ideal to play with friends. I just don't think about that anymore. Like I never think that my friends want to play with me. I feel like we're too old to do that. I don't know. That's just a me thing.
Nah, dude, hit me up.
All
If
right.
I'm online on Discord, hit me up. Even if I'm not online on Discord, hit me up. I'll play.
All right.
I was gonna say, I watched a review of it, and somebody said that Halo's gameplay is like outdated now. Like they were saying that like Halo is good, but like it's like the same. It's like basically like Halo, like multiplayer still. So it's like a little outdated compared to modern multiplayer games. Do you think that's true though? Like having played it even for 30 minutes.
Like did they specifically compare it to any other game?
I think they compared it to stuff like other shooters like Fortnite, Apex Legends. Basically, they were saying like those games have like better movement, faster gameplay, stuff like that.
I mean, being faster doesn't mean it's better. It's like a different thing. I think Halo has a very unique style of gameplay, and it's uh, nothing else plays like Halo. When Halo is done right, like Halo 3, Halo, people like Halo 2, whatever. You know, maybe I'm like a older person now, but to me, a modern game is like the newest Call of Duty, which also sucks ass. I don't play Apex, my younger cousin does, and she's very good at it, and I see it, and I'm like, this is not for me. So maybe I've hit that like, my boomer point where I'm just
No,
like,
dude,
fuck everything new.
I played Apex and I actually switched from Apex to Rainbow Six Siege because Siege is slower. I was like, I
Mm,
can't. This game isn't fun. Like it's just too much shit going on, basically.
mm. Yeah, it's like you move too fast, and there's too many people on the screen, and you just realize how old you sound when you say shit like that. Like this game is too hectic for me.
It is. It's like there's too much movement. There's like vertical play and like horizontal play, and like that's too much. It's like fast vertical play. Like Siege, you're like, this guy's like hauling himself up a window basically, and like your character has weight to them. Whereas in Apex, your character has no weight. They just move as fast as they can. It feels like at all times. I don't know.
Well, that's why I was stuck on Gears for so long, and I still kind of am because it's more strategic. Like you can't just get fucked by people super fast like you can in a lot of like modern FPS games. Oh, the Battlefield, the new Battlefield just came out. I don't know what the hell it was or like what I was expecting. Um, but I bought it, which I also realized I hated. Before it came out, you could buy it for like $90 and you get like a week early access to it. And that was at the time when I wasn't. I was like, well, I have a low grade fever and my whole body hurts. I'm just gonna be sitting here. I might as well invest and play some Battlefield. And it might have been those other things, and I was already like not in the right mood. But when that game started and I saw what it looked like on my computer, I was so fucking mad that they charged me money for it. I was like, waiting. You know how like in certain games, like in the old Unreal Engine games, when the level first loads, it's like super low polygon textures, and then eventually
Yeah,
they
yeah.
pop in like 30 seconds later. I kept
Mhm.
waiting for that to happen in Battlefield. I was like, oh my god, it really looks this fucking bad. Like, this is horrible. And so I have 3 minutes of playtime on that game, and I got a refund. I was furious because I guess because I was putting a lot of hope into it that it would like carry me through COVID. And then when I was just mad at it, it kind of ruined my entire day. And so that's when I fell into the New Vegas thing, and I put 50 hours into that game over 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm coming out of just now coming out of that.
I don't know. I watched the Donkey review of that, and it
Yeah,
looked bad from what he showed because he did
yeah,
like I don't know if you did you watch his review also.
I did. It was just bugs, right? Like, he didn't say a thing. He didn't say any words.
He didn't say a word. He literally just shows the trailer and then he shows the actual game,
Yeah,
and that's like enough. I was like, oh no.
there's a dude on YouTube named Crobycat, something like that. Um, and he does videos like that where he'll just no commentary, just put up what they showed and what we got, and just kind of make a make a critique like that, which is pretty cool. I got very big Kroby Cat vibes from that Donkey video. Um, but yeah, I guess my point is that I fucking hate video games. They're all terrible.
I think it's funny that you and I are both playing like 10-plus-year-old games now, I think.
Yeah, from the same publisher too, which is kind of weird. But
Yeah.
I've been wanting to play Half-Life 2 again. That's my next kind of thing. I'm definitely in a back in my day type phase. I don't know what's going on with me.
Did you ever play Half-Life Alyx?
Yeah, I played it for mm, probably like 2 hours, and it was cool. But my life doesn't. I can't set up VR in the way that I live my life. Uh, it's too much of a commitment. Like I don't want to have the little lighthouses and shit. And I tried mounting them to the walls, and then they would just fall over in the middle of the night. And I would think that someone's breaking in. It's like, oh, it's just my stupid fucking plastic box that I keep putting on the wall and don't use. So I can't play VR stuff anymore.
That really is like old man stuff right there. Holy moly.
I considered because I wanted an Oculus Quest, not for any reason except for just how portable it is. You don't need the lighthouses, you don't need whatever. It's just wireless and nice. Because with the Vive, you're constantly reminded that you have like four wires hanging out of the back of your head, like the fucking Matrix, constantly. You can feel it,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes you out of stuff. So anyway, I would love to get an Oculus Quest if it weren't made by Facebook, but instead I'm just kind of here waiting for like a better VR solution.
Oh, that's meta now to you, sir.
Yeah, it's true. That rebranding has worked. You know, I get recruiter messages sometimes, and it's like, "Hey, you want to work and once I see Facebook, like, oh, fuck that, nope." But it's like Meta. That sounds pretty. I work at Meta. I'm working on the Metaverse. That's like some future programmer type shit.
It is. And yet also very lame at the same time, I feel like.
Well, so am I. So it's whatever. And.
uh, when you play Fallout, did you get any mods for it? Or are you playing it raw?
I'm playing it raw. I don't like mods. Like just in general, I don't like mods because they just make games not run right. I don't like dealing with shit. It's the same reason I don't have an Android phone. I don't like tweaking shit.
I got a few mods. One of them gives you like a Stardew Valley in Skyrim with like a farm that you get to like put all together and stuff like that. I've
So
never played
nuts.
Stardew Valley, so it's the closest I've come, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. No, that stuff is cool for sure. I guess like maybe if I were younger, I remember a long time ago I would have been like, this is the game I'm playing for 6 months that I'm trying to get as much as I possibly can out of it. So
Mhm.
this guy made a weird mini game mod or whatever for Fallout, but I don't see myself playing that kind of stuff these days.
Like, you don't think
But
you'd play like Forge modes created for the new Halo?
mm, like make my own stuff? No.
Not make your own. That I mean, I like the make your own stuff only in that you can mess around with it and with your friends. You can like drop a
Yeah.
tank on them.
Yeah, some of the most fun I've ever had playing video games was in Halo 3's Forge mode with some of my friends and just like the custom, yeah, like launching tanks and shit at each other. Maybe it's a maybe it's like another version of what I said earlier where I don't let myself give time to things that I just don't want to believe are worth it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Where it's like I won't let myself have fun playing custom games because that's not what I'm supposed to do or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
don't really think about it like that anymore.
I see. So what you're saying is that if when Halo does get Forge mode, you wouldn't be like, you see, there's this sick new custom mode where you race a mongoose up a hill where tanks are dropping down on you or whatever.
I mean, I would play it. It's just I have a hard time thinking of that, the start of that. I have a hard
Mm.
time thinking of like, well, where did I hear about this sick new mode? Like, I'm not on forums or whatever like I used to be. It's like, I just have a hard time seeing that. But whatever, we could do it. It'd be fun.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't even think the new one has a Forge mode yet, so it's
Not yet.
okay.
Yeah. I'll just be playing New Vegas on repeat, constantly trying to get the other endings, probably till I die.
Yeah. Do you think there's something about like the older style of RPGs that you prefer? Because like I'm trying to think of like a more modern version, like the new Fallout, like the new Fallout. Like what makes it New Vegas better than Fallout, or like the Fallout 4, for example?
So I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos because I was trying to get someone to explain to me why I was liking it so much. Like I was trying to get someone to articulate the thing I was feeling, which is like, holy
Hmm.
shit, this is so good. Um, so there's this dude, I forget his name, but it was a 96-minute like video essay talking about New Vegas and why, in his opinion, it's the greatest game or one of the greatest games ever made and all this kind of stuff. Um, and one thing he kept mentioning, and I think is a thing that I definitely get, is that you're free to make choices, and the game doesn't hold your hand really at any point. It's just letting you figure things out and discover things yourself, and it's not pointing you to certain things or necessarily like flashing lights saying go here. It's kind of just you get this feeling like when you go into a building and you see a locked bathroom door and you have the lockpick skill to unlock it. And then you open up the door and you see like a skeleton with a shotgun next to it and like a bunch of ammo. It's like, oh, someone fucking killed themselves in this room. And no one told me that, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's this just sense of discovery and stuff. I think that for me is super rewarding because when you learn something for yourself and you get that reward and you realize that you found it yourself and there were 1,000 things you could have done instead that would have led you to some other point, but you didn't, and you did this. It's like it's just it's so much more rewarding than anything else where it told you beforehand what was going to happen or trying to guide you towards a goal, you know. Um, and the fact that the game just starts, people criticize Fallout 4 because it's like a 90-minute introduction, tutorial, and handholding and character creation and shit. New Vegas is like, yep, you got shot in the head and now you're awake. Get the fuck out of here. Like, and from the beginning of the game, you can go to New Vegas. Like, you just need to get past the death clause. And if you find a way past the death clause, you can get to where you really shouldn't be for like 12 hours, but you can get there within 45 minutes. And it's like perfect for speed runs, to watch a speed run like that and just be like, oh shit, I didn't know you could do that. It's like a constant thing of I didn't know you could do that when you watch someone else playing that game.
I see, I see. To bring it back to home games, do you think that um, not necessarily about hand holding for the actual like video games, but like the creation of video games?
Mm-hmm.
Like, should that be something like how? I know that we talked a lot about building utility into home games to like make it easier to make games, but at what point are we adding actually like hand holding into the making of games?
Hand holding, like, what? Can you give an example of what that would be?
I guess like I know when you were talking about the like the abstracting away with like the layering, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how like that the layering works in order to like give people like a view and then like the whole field to work with, as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to just like the 100%. Like taking that like a step further and like further, basically like two steps ahead of that in terms of abstraction, or three steps or whatever. When we start to take like agency away from the person who's making the game,
Mm-hmm.
like I guess my question is like, what would be that point for you when it stops being like this is helpful and starts becoming like this is too much hand holding for what I'm looking for with home games?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I was actually thinking about this. I'm just I'm talking about Fallout again. I understand it's a lot of Fallout, but the beauty of Fallout is that you can tell that this is the case because it's the same with all these games. They all look and feel the same, right? Like they're all using the same guts: Oblivion, Fallout 3, New Vegas, and all this shit. Um, and I was just constantly like taken aback by how intricate some of the quest lines were in New Vegas and how things tied into each other and how there was special dialogue for this one case because I did this one thing 6 hours ago and holy shit, like how do you know that? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And just thinking like it paints this picture of this crazy technical complexity in the back. And I'm sure it is a lot of like band-aids and glue and shit holding that together because the game crashes every hour. I mean, it crashed probably 40 times during my playthrough. I'm not even kidding. Uh, but you realize along the way that it's a collection of tools that they give developers to make these intricate quests and worry about the quests and not the guts. I don't need to worry about how this is going to happen because I just know that, I basically have an if condition where if this is true while the player shoots this character and then the character changes its state to this other thing. It's a very, it's I guess it becomes complex, but the system behind it is just kind of simple logic, right? Um,
Hmm.
so I think that's, without the bugs and whatever bullshit they did that got into a state of kind of instability today, I think that's kind of the ideal thing. Is just giving tools that people they don't need to think about it if they don't want to. It's like just worry about the game, worry about what you're building, and this thing will do it for you. Uh, and I think it's valuable to add in abstraction because not everybody cares or wants to care about the deepest levels of how pixels get onto the screen or uh, how things interact or the math behind intersections or anything like that. But it's there and you can use it if you want to. Um, so I think abstraction should always be for a purpose. It's to make something. It's to reduce limitations and barriers and stuff. But at a certain point, you have to uh, be honest with the barriers that are there. I think it's easy to like abstract and keep going because it's like a cleaner interface or whatever because you think
Hmm.
it's a cleaner interface. But at a certain point, you start to take away the point, which is to make it easy to access the tools, not to like use your super fucking sick library or like clean ass interface or whatever. It's about like the
Hmm.
tool, you know, um, which is like a super not answer, but I guess generally that's the goal in the way I see it.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. I really liked um, the way you worded that, where you have to be honest with the barriers of
Mm.
what's going on. Like okay, we'll go to this point, but you got to go the rest of the way, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think once we really we've been saying this for a long time, but once we kind of get this workable and usable by people, which I don't think is very far off. Like it's a matter of months, I think, before people can give us like genuine feedback. We would have to kind of we'd have to do a lot to get people to try it out. Like people we know in person. Like we can't just expect random people to try it out and give us feedback. We'd have to kind of direct it and target it to like our programmer friends to get feedback and to learn what those barriers are because I don't really know what's confusing about this thing besides what you've told me. But even that at
Hmm.
that point, like you're so familiar with the system that you might have gotten used to things that are stupid as fuck. Um, so, when we have a thing and we think we've abstracted the interface and kind of provided the tools that we think we need, and someone is like, well, you know, where's the standard DOM query API? Like, how in vanilla JS in a browser, you can query the DOM and get elements by ID and class name, and what if someone wants that? And is like, well, given the tree of my game, like I can store and access things myself, but I want to also be able to query things or give me everything that's intersecting with this or whatever. Um, that's stuff that, for example, it totally makes sense and someone might want, and we just don't realize that that's how people view the system and like they want a tool like that or whatever. We can build it eventually.
Somebody write that down. Write that down. Write that down. No, that no like way to query it. That's probably a good idea to build in.
Yeah, well, I was thinking actually because we already have the intersection stuff. We have that intersection library that I wrote, and then you added some changes to, and you kind of cleaned up and stuff. That's essentially a query API. Given a game tree and a bunch of nodes, I mean that walks through the tree and it has a filter. I mean that's a query. It's an inefficient query, but it's a query. And um, like I've mentioned before, but I think the GIS systems have this very efficient way of querying map data. So you can say, give me this latitude, longitude point, give me a rectangular bounding box of this size around this point. Um, you can build very fast indexes to query space and get data within that thing. And I think games work a lot like that. Like games, even if you don't see a visual map of a game, like it's a map of things, right? Like things talk to other things and they can walk and move. And being able to query by space is something that I think is important, and that's what I'm doing with the view stuff. It's just a visual version of the querying space, but I think you know what I mean. Like querying the data behind it, I think is valuable as
Mm-hmm.
well. So uh, anyway, yeah, there's a bunch of shit I think we need to do, but it's hard to think about what we actually need, and so yeah, that's what we need people for.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
You know?
Um, I had a really clean transition into that, but now I'm in a hard transition out of that.
Sure.
Um, so I guess would you? What was the order, real quick? Is it you saw people talking about Fallout New Vegas, or did you start playing it and then people were talking about it?
I have been wanting to play it again for a long, long time. So I started playing it after, I guess, Tynan, and but I didn't start seeking internet stuff about it until after I started playing it again, and that's when I realized that there's still a lot of YouTube content being created about that game still.
Oh, see, okay, that makes sense. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I took a kind of opposite approach, not for Skyrim, but for a TV show.
Hmm.
So there's a content creator for Avatar: The Last Airbender, the TV show,
Hmm.
and they briefly mentioned something from Avatar: Legend of Korra, which I'd never seen. I've never seen that show. And then I was like, oh, shoot, that show does exist and it's on Netflix. I should check it out. And I've been watching it. And while I was watching it, I was like, the show's okay. Like, why did that guy say that the show was bad? And then I went to go and look online, and there's like 3 hour long video essays on
Hmm.
people saying why it's bad. And I was like, these people have too much time on their hands. But also, that show wasn't that bad. I feel like I'm midway through the second season, and I was like, honestly, this is okay. It's not
Yeah.
great, but it's like okay.
Well, it's actually funny because the same guy who made the "Why New Vegas is So Great" video has another 90-minute video about why Fallout. The title is "Why Fallout 3 is Garbage," and it's kind of like just this just contrarian type thing where it's like people love this so much, and I just kind of don't like a few things, but because I don't like those few things, I'm just gonna go super hard and say it's trash. Where it's like
Mhm.
maybe you have some legitimate things. Like, is the show that you're talking about well liked outside of these weirdos?
No.
Oh, well then
As far as
it's
I can
different.
tell, Korra was not liked at all. Um, or it was okay. I think it was like okay. I think honestly, people were like, "This is okay," and then a few content creators and weirdos on the internet were like, "This show is garbage," which is what I thought about it. That's why I didn't watch it originally.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm actually watching. I'm like, it's okay. It just paced a little weirdly. Honestly, like that's my biggest complaint is that the pacing's a little weird.
Those shows I've never watched Avatar or that one, but I imagine it's like anime pacing where sometimes things happen and then it's like 4 episodes where nothing happens.
um, no, Avatar: The Last Airbender, I think, is a really great show. Honestly, if I was gonna recommend like cartoons to you, I'd recommend Avatar: The Last Airbender and Adventure Time. I actually thought you had seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, but
Mm-mm.
Adventure Time and Avatar: The Last Airbender, both are really good shows. Honestly, like legitimately really good. I don't think that they're like weirdly paced like anime can be, where they have like filler or whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. Korra actually doesn't have filler either. It moves too quickly. It's like the opposite problem where there's like no time to like in one episode. I'll spoil something, but it's whatever. It's like the show's like old now, but in like the finale, she loses her powers, and that's like that's impossible. Like no one had ever thought this could ever happen to the Avatar. It was like supposed to be like the strongest person on the planet, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that same episode, she gets them back. So you had like no time to be like, shit, they don't have like they lost the thing that's like special about them, basically.
Right.
Which is normally like a show or a movie or like a media, like a book or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have like chapters about this now where they have to like reconcile their differences. I think in I'm forgetting who the author is, but there's a really famous author who would always take away their main character's right hand to be like they've weakened them. They're like sword hand, they lose their right hand, now they have to use their left hand, like relearn how to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, yeah, we didn't have that moment where they had to relearn how to do stuff. They basically just like lost everything, and then like 3 minutes later, it's like thumbs up, you got it again.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a really odd pacing. And then I found like a 30-minute dude who was talking about Korra, and I watched it, and he was like, the reason season one's paced so weirdly is because they were told that they only had one season. It was
Uh,
supposed to be a one season thing, and so they had this many episodes to wrap it up. So they're like, perfect. We're gonna like hit people really hard, and then we're gonna wrap it up, and then we're done. And then Nickelodeon, I guess, was like, and now you have a second and a third and a fourth season. There, Nickelodeon was like, and now you're gonna be like online or whatever. So, yeah,
It's nuts how much that can ruin a show. Like How I Met Your Mother
yeah,
is a victim of that kind of shit, where they weren't sure if they were going to have another season or not. So it's like that show ended with like a fucking, it just petered out with garbage for like 3 years. But I kind of appreciate the, we just set up this whole problem that we're going to resolve, but let's just hang out here for a while with the problem. It's like uh, the Avengers, right? Like the Thanos snap, and you're like, okay, they'll come back, like I know they will, and then we have to wait for a whole other third movie to do it, but we knew you were gonna. Like, it's not surprising. There's no real suspense.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think there's like a way to do it where even though you know it's gonna come back, being there with the character is enough. Like
Mm-hmm.
seeing somebody like really, that's like honestly like one of those things that like Avatar: Last Airbender I feel like is more for kids, and Korra is more for people who are a little bit older than kids. Like I wouldn't say adults, but like in between adults and kids.
In betweeners.
Yeah, the in betweeners. Where it does deal with like her getting like emotionally hurt from these things. Like in Avatar: Last Airbender, the whole thing takes place during a war, and you see like war crimes and genocide and things like that, and it's like it'll hit the characters, but it won't like stick. But in Korra, it hits her and it sticks, and like it leaves an impact on her. So it is kind of weird when they also do that in the show, and then later on they're like, here's something that would really stick with her, but don't worry, she fixed it. It's okay now. But also, did you ever hear of the show Victorious on Nickelodeon?
Is that the one? It's that girl, right? Victoria, what's her name?
Victoria Justice.
Yes, yeah. That's all I know about that show.
Yeah, that's all I know about that show too. After I watched the little things about Avatar of Korra, I got recommended a 5.5 hour video essay of why Victorious is a bad show.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Isn't it
it's
like a
five
kids
and a half
show?
hours. That whole show cannot be more than 10 hours of content.
What the fuck? I wonder what, like, that making a 5.5 hour video and telling people why it's bad implies that people would think it's good, which I don't get. I
Yeah.
never got that vibe from that show.
I don't know. I don't know what drove this person to make a 5.5 hour video essay on it. Also, who's gonna watch a 5.5 hour video essay
I
on
would.
anything? Like, actually watch it and like comprehend all 5.5 hours.
I would. I like having noise on when I do stuff. Be something I venture out into.
That's not comprehending what's going on.
Well, I mean, it's something to do. For Thanksgiving, family comes over and it's like, what have you been doing lately? I'm just like, let me tell you why Victorious is fucking trash. Something to do. I don't know what else to talk about my distant cousins with about.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched it. I kind of want to just from like a curiosity, but I don't want to give them the views for it. I'm not like principle for being a crazy person.
That should be a service where it's like I'll download the YouTube video that you don't want to admit to watching, and like I'll host it over here. So you could watch Ignition Remix by R. Kelly and not give him any views. I mean, I guess I'm just
Oh,
inventing torrents. It's whatever.
yeah. You're reinventing it. But no one's going to make a torrent of a 5.5 hour video essay on YouTube from some rando about the TV show Victorious. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Or at least I hope not.
It's
That
true.
doesn't need to be saved for future generations, I don't think.
Disagree. Okay, disagree. Because what if someone is like, they came out with the first talkie or whatever at 1920, whatever, and this dude did a whole write up about why he thinks talking in movies is trash, and it's like a whole novel. That would be cool, like from a historical perspective, someone criticizing like the coolest technology they have. Not that Victorious is the coolest technology we have, but you see what I'm getting at here.
I do see what you're getting at, and I do think it's important. There's actually, sorry, I'm snapping because I'm trying to think. Man, there's a really famous historian from England or Britain or UK. whatever that country was at the time. But he wrote like a history of the U.S. as an outsider. Like he wasn't from the U.S. He was like a historian from that country writing about the U.S. And it's like it's like a really interesting like outsider view. But it's like from the 1800s. So like it was like right when Manifest Destiny was like becoming a big thing in the U.S. Which I mean, obviously like terrible things happened out of it, but he wrote about like that like undercurrent and where that feeling came from, and it's actually like a really important historical thing. It's also where the line, I don't know if you remember this from high school, but I remember it. Our teacher was like, "Head west, young man, head west." It's like that line came from him. He said to like, "Go west if you want to find your fortune, young man." Obviously at the time, like I don't think young women were able to go west and find their fortune, but young men could, I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I guess it's like we were just talking about it before we started recording, but so much of history is written and it's so fragile. Like written history is so fragile, and so like for me, my family history, I basically track through photos and iCloud and stuff, and it's like, do I trust iCloud more than I trust physical paper and stuff? Anyway, yeah, it's kind of weird how we preserve things.
Yeah,
We'll all be dead one day.
That's true. That is true. But you know what won't be dead? Home games. It'll live on forever.
It's true. The sun will melt the earth, whatever the fuck it's gonna do, explode. I don't know, and it'll all just like turn to dust. But then there's just one USB stick with home game source code, the last remaining thing, and that car that Elon Musk threw into space. That's it.
I forgot about that. Did you ever watch the movie Lucy?
Like the one with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
No, I've not seen that.
She becomes a USB stick at the end of the movie.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's the end of the movie.
All right, I'm in. I don't know anything else about that movie, but I'll watch that.
That is the only movie I've ever wanted to walk out of. I've seen a lot of movies. I've never wanted to walk out of a movie before. That is the only one. It is so trash. I hated it.
Is it the story or the acting or like what?
Listen, Scarlett Johansson is a great actor, but like that movie is just, it is so awkwardly written and like paced, and like the like actual storyline is so bad. It's just not a good experience to watch it. It makes her acting bad because of the way her character is supposed to be. Because she's supposed to become like, she starts with like a regular person, and then she's supposed to become like removed from humanity. But the way they do it is so weird.
I'll have to watch that. That sounds pretty stupid. I have a like a large list of movies that I've been wanting to watch that are just well liked and whatever, but you kind of got to throw in one to break it up every now and then. You know, you got Lord of the Rings and then some bullshit. You know.
You should invite me over when you're gonna watch Lord of the Rings. I haven't watched that in like years and years and years and years and years.
We watched the first one, and I actually really liked it. Because Zenobia is a big fan of Lord of the Rings, and I had never seen any of them, so she made me watch the whatever the first one's called.
Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, whatever. I have to be a cool guy and pretend like I don't know exactly the name of the
movie. This man's ego. Ego tripping over Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. I have to appear like I'm not that kind of a nerd. I'm just a computer guy, you know? But I do generally hate fantasy, so it's kind of, I was surprised that I liked Lord of the Rings, but yeah.
It's Lord of the Rings is like the original fantasy, so I wouldn't be surprised if you actually really like it, because it's like so like fundamental to the rest of fantasy that like the rest of fantasy just like takes it and like adds on crap to it. Like his is like the original pure version. It's
very simple. It's like good, evil, too much power corrupts people. That's basically it. It's like, sure, hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. It is. It's got really cool moments in it. I really like it. Yeah, really good. If you ever want to read a good book series, that book series is also really good. Even though I've recommended a book series to you, it's just like, oh, this book series is terrible.
Well, you recommended the whatever the fuck that guy's name is in that book that sucks.
Ian M. Banks.
Yeah. The Culture series, book 1, Consider Phoebus or whatever. I told you a few weeks ago, but I finally made it past chapter 2 in that book, and it's better than that first impression I had. But yeah, I don't know. It's like the thing I said before, where I don't let myself give time to things. I'm just a mess of a person.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about?
Uh, I kept thinking about how I want to make it easy to make a game as good as Fallout New Vegas.
Hmm.
I am kind of shocked at how much I enjoyed that game going back. And I was watching a video about this person basically saying that people don't like politics in games, right? Like people generally have this kind of aversion to that stuff when it's I think when it's done poorly, where it'll just be a regular ass game and someone's just like, well, the refugees. And it's like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, this game isn't about that. Like, you don't have to make a commentary on the modern state of the world. Like, shut the fuck up. But that's just my reaction. Maybe people aren't like that. But but for Fallout, it's very political. Like, every choice that you make, like even me just choosing the NCR because I think that's the best ending, me having that conversation with a friend is a conversation about like your worldview and the way that you see people and the way you think things should be. Um, but like I said earlier, the reason that stuff is so cool is because you made those choices, and it's because you really think that. So if you get into a conversation with your friend who says, you know, joining up with Yes Man and taking over New Vegas for yourself is the best option or whatever, like JC has that ending or whatever, and I went with NCR. It's like you're actually talking about shit that you don't even know you're talking about, you know?
Hmm.
And it's like that's like real fucking art, where it has that kind of impact and it makes you talk about it for years. Uh, I don't know, man. That game like made me want to make games. A game because like I've been saying, I get disappointed a lot because I used to be just so excited and so into video games, and I would know release dates and just shit. I was like a super fucking nerd, right? It was my whole life. And then as I got older, I just like stopped caring, and I was like, oh, maybe I just don't like games anymore, and I'm doing this home games thing, and casual games are cool, and I think just building the technology and the tools and programming and learning and all that stuff is still true. But like, fuck, I love video games when they're done right. Like I love New Vegas. That game is so good. Uh, it kind of ruined video games for me because other games aren't like that. I don't know. I don't know. I just want to make good things like that. It made me want to make good things. It made me want to be better.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense, and that's really cool. I I didn't get that when I played Fallout, so maybe I should try playing it again.
It's some next level shit, dude. And I have like all the DLC I still have to play. I just finished the main story like yesterday after 50 hours of playtime.
A nice.
And I'll play it again. Like right now, I would start a new game. Like games don't do
Yeah.
that to me. Yeah, I don't know, man. Fuck.
I have a question then. Would you start a new game just to play through Caesar's Legion side of things,
Yes.
or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people who basically say that Caesar's Legion is the best option despite the fascism, which is like crazy that a game can make you like the criticism is or the reviews and stuff I've seen are basically that you can still hate his viewpoint, but goddamn he makes a great job of arguing for it. Like uh
I don't know if I follow this one.
where again it's the political stuff where people will make the argument again, like I said, they don't realize that they're talking about what they're talking about. They're making the argument that basically, at least with a dictator, there's no dissent, which on the political compass test is one of the questions. You could agree or disagree, whatever, and you can think it's like a disgusting, morally whatever thing, but someone can argue for it. And if a game can make a legitimate argument for fascism, and you're just like, well, shit, I see what you're saying. It's like it's fucking crazy, right? Like,
That is wild. Maybe I missed something because I think I did the NCR route and just
yeah.
absolutely annihilated the Legion.
Well, same. There's a one point in the game where basically you get to New Vegas and then you kind of are opened up to the factions. And
Mhm.
up to that point, I just hated the Legion because I had seen what they were doing around New Vegas, and I didn't like that they were crucifying people because they were like doing drugs or whatever. Right? I don't like doing drugs either, but I don't think that's correct. So anyway, I didn't like them on a personal level, so I just started killing them in the game because I think that's fun. And so that develops a reputation. But when you get to New Vegas, you have the option basically to go and meet with Caesar, and they'll forgive you for all of the crimes against the Legion. Uh, so I took that invitation and I killed Caesar. Like, I just went to his base and fucking killed him. And the game
Oh,
kept going, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is amazing!"
what?
They replaced Caesar with someone else, and at the end game, when you fight with NCR and you fight against the Legion, there's like a whole, it's a whole other character with like different voice acting, and he says specific different lines, and it's like they accounted for the fact that you could do that. You could go and kill Caesar.
Holy moly! Can you kill that guy?
No, you can't. You can't see him until like, well, actually, you can at the very end, but there's like a speech tree where if you go down a specific speech option to convince him basically to leave and not fight, then he just like teleports away and you can't kill him. So they do weird little things like that. So where technically, if you had like bugged the game out, you could kill him, but you're not really supposed to be able to.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I see. That's really cool. I didn't even realize that you could kill Caesar
you can
just
kill anybody.
right then and there.
Yeah. Like the NCR, there's a mission where you have to protect the president, where he comes to give a speech, and you're supposed to, protect him from like whoever else comes to try to do whatever. And up to that point, I was loyal to the NCR, but you have that thing, where you're just like, well, what if I did this? And so I made a save, and then instead of protecting the president, I blew his fucking head off just to see what happened.
Yeah, yeah.
They got upset, understandably, but like just to see what happens, and that you could keep going with that, and the fact that they made that game in 18 months, I guess, is what's so impressive to me. On top of everything else, like,
Really?
yeah,
That's crazy.
I can go on for days about how great that game is.
All right, put out a 5.5 hour video essay on Fallout Vegas.
I have one criticism, and two criticisms. Is that one? It really did crash on me on average about every hour, and I really have no patience for that kind of stuff normally. So, it kind of shows you how much I enjoyed just playing and constantly restarting the game. And two, there's like 7 songs in the entire soundtrack. So if you're playing the radio, you'll hear the same songs over. It's like the real radio, I guess. So it's kind of realistic in that way. But the songs get really repetitive. That's it.
I don't know what it is about Bethesda games, but Skyrim crashed on me so badly that I had to restart my computer. I could not even get Task Manager to open anymore. I had
Yeah.
to literally just like hold down the power button and then turn my computer back on.
Have you done the Windows desktop thing, like the virtual desktop thing, or whatever it's called? They ripped the feature from Mac OS where you have like a desktop, which is basically an entire session, basically in Windows or in the OS. Because I had that too, where New Vegas would hard lock so bad that I couldn't go to the task manager, I couldn't alt tab, I couldn't do anything. But if you
Yeah.
hit Control Windows D, it'll bring up a new desktop, and you have like full access to everything in there. You can open up Task Manager and kill shit. And it's nuts that I had to Google to get access to something as simple as quitting a fucking Frozen game in 2021.
Yeah.
But
I wrote that down because your boy's going to forget.
this episode's all over the place. It's just New Vegas, me gushing about New Vegas, a little bit of an aside about home games, and then just Windows tech tips.
For people who aren't aware, this is right before Thanksgiving as Joseph's recovering from COVID. So
Yeah.
we're not doing 100% hardcore into the weeds home games episode this episode. So if you stuck with us so far, thank you for
Yeah, thank you.
listening.
Next week or next one, I'll be talking about smoking a pork butt because that's what I'm doing for Thanksgiving. My second smoked butt. We'll see how that goes.
Hell yeah, brother. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
The pork butt is actually the shoulder. Fun fact.
Really?
Yeah, they call it a butt, but it's up here.
That makes sense. I mean, pigs don't really got a dumper, you know what I mean?
Well, the real dumper is the ham. Those are the two yams. The ham's the yams.
What part of a pig is the ham?
It's a butt. Like it's real proper butt. You got two hams.
Isn't there like a bone in a ham?
There's probably bones in your butt.
They don't look like that, though. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing. In my head, I'm imagining like the cartoons where they have the like ham that has like the bone in the middle, and it like goes all the way through. There's like the one bone, and then it's like a big round disc thing.
There's
and
like
then
a
it's like they cut it.
there's like
Am
bones
I
at the
not
center
thinking
of
of the
their
right thing?
cheeks, right?
Huh?
There's like bones at the center of the cheeks. Not like in between, like like they poke the cheek and at the center there's bone. Like you're not just mush down there.
You do. You have your
Butt
pelvic
bones.
girdle and stuff. Yeah.
It's too scientific, dude. It's butt bones. The fuck's a
Yeah, you got your
girdle?
butt bones, but they're not like. Am I thinking of the wrong thing? What does a ham look like?
A ham in cartoons looks like a large, like kind of tapered blob of
Yeah, yeah,
meat.
yeah, yeah. And then isn't there like a bone in the center of it?
There is, yeah, but like the hams I can think of, I you can get a boneless ham. I don't know what the natural state of a ham is.
I'll look this up
Like I haven't butchered
later.
my own from scratch.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
I haven't busted down the cheeks manually.
Um, are you gonna make a traditional turkey with your Thanksgiving, or are you gonna do this as pork butt?
I was gonna do a smoked turkey, but I was gonna do a practice run before because I've never done that, and I'm not really that good at smoking meat yet. I've only smoked a brisket once that came out pretty shitty, and then I've just done one pork butt. So I wanted to do a practice, but then that's when I had the the thing, so I really couldn't do much, and then time got away from me, and I didn't get to practice turkey, so that's why I ended up just going with I'm just gonna do a butt, and then Synovia's family is gonna fry a turkey here, so we're gonna do fried turkey and then smoked pork butt
Nice. That sounds good.
instead of a ham. I
Um,
fucking hate ham. Fun
you
fact
hate
about me.
ham?
Yeah, I don't like ham. Just quick Joseph facts.
Is that not the same as pork butt?
No, because the ham's the butt, the shoulder, the butt's the shoulder. The ham's the butt, the butt's the shoulder.
This is too complicated. This is too complicated. I don't understand.
Imagine a
Um,
walking pig and how beefy he is up front. Those chest muscles that you see. This guy's fucking protruding. You know, basically look at the side here and all this fatty meat. Well, it's not that fatty actually, but that's pretty lean. That's why it has to cook for so long. But anyway, shoulder meat.
I see. I
Not to be
see. I see.
confused with the pork shoulder, which is actually the other part of the shoulder. Makes sense.
God, butchers, please.
Yeah. I'm trying to think
Um,
of anything else that I got going on besides, smoking a butt. I had COVID and I love Fallout, and I am motivated to do cool things with this project that we've been working on.
hell yeah, brother.
Yeah,
Um, do you have any goals for the end of the year? By the end of the year,
yeah. I want the new dashboard done by the end of the year. In terms of home game stuff, or like in my life.
in terms of home game stuff, probably. We only have 2 minutes.
Oh yeah. Um, yeah, for home game stuff, I want to have my new dashboard done. I am gonna have, I kind of this is like an annual tradition at this point, but basically the last couple weeks of December for the last 2 years, I've had some sort of heroic effort that I put into everything, and I get like a stupid amount of code out. So I'll probably do that again this year. Um, but yeah, I want to have my view stuff ready, and I'll have that as the foundation for how the new dashboard works. And then once I have that new dashboard working and all that kind of stuff, and the rewrite of Squish, which is kind of mostly done at this point, just kind of shoving everything back into its place. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, once I get that, then we'll be in a good position for the beginning of next year to incorporate the search services and stuff that I had previously set up and all that infrastructure around kind of the next wave of stuff that I want to be able to do. Kind of hooking all that stuff up. So I think by probably like March, we'll have like searchable, downloadable games in the way that I want it in a right dashboard. But the actual just dashboard visual layout and the kind of guts for it, I want done by this year.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah. What about
Yeah.
you? Goals?
Um,
Anything?
I think for me, like my biggest goal, I don't know if we'll be able to hit it by the end of the year, but getting core web and squish on TypeORM. Not TypeORM, TypeScript.
I was like,
Hold
holy
on
shit,
TypeScript.
they already renamed TypeScript. Things move so fast. But yeah, okay.
No, no, dude. I forget words sometimes. Yeah, into TypeScript and getting all of those things back clicked together again.
Yeah.
I think that'll be pretty big because, yeah, I just think for usability from people who are trying to make games, knowing what things are supposed to be is really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this year, like if you look at on paper what we changed, it's actually quite a bit. It just from thinking about it generally, it feels like it was kind of a churny year. Like we didn't make a lot of forward progress. We just kind of fucked a lot of things that we currently have. But that fucking around kind of builds a better foundation for the next set of stuff that we're gonna do. Which, like I've said, I think that is when it's kind of like a minimum viable product. You know.
The MVP.
The MVP. The real MVP. Name of the episode. This whole time I've been thinking, fuck, what am I going to call it? What am I going to call it? Boomer Point was something I said earlier. I was like, no, I used Boomer in the title already. Fuck, so I'm just going to say what I just said so I can call this episode that.
This man's actually just like 10 steps ahead of the rest of us. I would have just called it Gobble Gobble Turkey Time.
Perfect. Gobble, gobble, turkey time.
Turkle time works too.
Turkle time.
I don't have anything if you want to close us out.
Yes, thank you everybody for listening. That's going to do it for. I forget what I say. As always, our music is done by our friend Tynan. He is Nightan on Bandcamp. That's Nightan, Nytan. You can find us on Twitter at HomeGamesIO. We have a website, HomeGames.io. You can send us a message on Twitter. You can post. You can post a thing on our website with a little form that we have at the bottom. We'll read your question or your comment or your concern, and we'll probably get back to you on the podcast. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Happy Thanksgiving.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Bye. Bye-bye.